As
a matter of fact, I've broken up with women because they would not ride roller coasters with me.
Move over, Southern California. The Eastern U.S. is edging in as the new hotspot for thrilling themed entertainment. Want the fastest? How about the wildest? Or maybe you'd like to join the Men in Black.
I've got certain savoir-faire. I'm a people person.
You'll hang with designers who make white-knuckle rides red hot. So keep your lap bars down and remain seated at all times. If you're into full-throttle coasters with a mind of their own, know this. The worldwide Scream Race is alive and kicking in Ohio. Our first stop is the 364-acre peninsula known as Cedar Point. Born in 1870, the park has grown into one of the world's largest. It now boasts 16 coasters of all shapes and sizes and calls itself America's Roller Coast, since it's right next to Lake Erie.
One of the things that I like about Cedar Point is that people who are coaster riders can graduate up through rides, from the smallest ones we have here all the way to Top Thrill Dragster.
If you're a roller coaster connoisseur in search of the Holy Grail, Top Thrill Dragster is the answer to your prayers. It's the planet's tallest and fastest coaster, 420 feet high and reaching speeds of 120 miles per hour. We're gonna show you what fuels this fireball. And you'll get the inside track and a built-in surprise that separates this coaster from the rest.
It was great. I closed my eyes.
I just started breathing right now.
So awesome.
Top Thrill lasts a mere 17 seconds. But it's 17 seconds of pedal-to-the-metal madness, especially with its unpredictable nature.
Acceleration, man.
You try to breathe, and you can just feel the pressure from the G-forces hit you.
When this $25 million joyride was conceived, there were plenty of questions.
The first reaction was, are you nuts? Why are you going taller?
Part of the reason was practical. At the already crowded park, the only way to go was up.
One of the challenges we faced was putting such a monster ride in a park that's already developed.
We had to put it up in Ohio winter, one of the worst that we've seen. Believe me, when you're at 400 feet and you have a 15-mile-an-hour wind, you can't work on this tower.
When Cedar Point unveiled Top Thrill Dragster in May 2003, it struck fear in the heart of the most fearless riders.
I think people come to the park and they look at this ride and they think, oh my gosh, it's a monster. I'll never get on that ride.
Die-hard enthusiasts Matt Owen and Tony Mahalik remember their first terrifying ride on Top Thrill.
I was intimidated. I was like, there's no way I'm going to ride this.
The first time I rode this coaster, I was absolutely terrified. I couldn't even see the top of the hill. And I'm like, what am I doing here?
And today, the two are back for more.
I don't know about you, I'm ready to do it again.
Oh, me too, buddy.
I feel the need for speed.
Wow!
These guys want more than just speed. There's a scary secret to Top Thrill Dragster, and it happens when you least expect it.
We're going to be rocketing 0 to 120 miles an hour in 4 seconds, going up 420 feet. We are now in the pre-staging area, and we are waiting for the Christmas tree to count down, which will begin our journey.
The biggest rush of all has eluded Tony and Matt. Until today.
Coming up to the apex, and we are going over the top. We are rolling back. We are not going over the top.
Was that supposed to happen? Well, not really. That's just one of Top Thrill's hidden secrets.
What a rush! That's incredible! Woo!
It's called a rollback, and you'll only experience it when the ride is warming up.
And that's likely to happen in the morning when we're trying to ratchet up the ride. Maybe the wheels and the bearings aren't quite loose, and it's going to take a lot of energy to get to the top.
Not to worry. You'll get another go at it.
And then you go again, and everyone will wonder,
we're going to make it this time. We're going to roll back again. We hear from the coaster enthusiasts that the rollback is the most extreme thing that they have done on a roller coaster, and they love it. I think most people are terrified, though. And it's just a weird sensation, actually, fall backwards on the sky. It's kind of almost like skydiving in a way.
Here we go. Hang on for the ride of your life.
Okay, will the third time be the charm?
And it all becomes a whirlwind. Next thing you know, it's over, and you're ready to do it again.
Top Thrill blasts you 120 miles per hour in less than 4 seconds. The secret is through a unique system of cables. The rocket-style send-off is achieved through this high-tech acceleration system. It's this giant spool that gives you that slingshot effect. Using the principle of hydraulics and pressurized nitrogen gas, oil is pumped into the massive motors in the main cable drum, which turn at 500 revolutions per minute. That cable is what pulls the train and then lets go to catapult you sky high.
The drum acts like a big fishing reel. It spins that reel up to 120 miles an hour.
And that's what shoots that train down the track. Once the summit has been conquered, these state-of-the-art magnetic copper fins will slow the train down. It's a much smoother stop than the traditional mechanical brakes. The experience is one that sometimes requires you to psych yourself up a bit.
I haven't ridden Untitled Chapter yet, but I'm extremely nervous. I don't know if I'm going to make it through.
I've actually come all the way from Hawaii to get on it.
Julie and Rachel may be novice riders, but they can't resist temptation.
You sure you want to do this?
No, I'm too nervous. I've already lost my voice. Oh my gosh.
Okay. Oh my God, I'm shaking.
Despite the apprehension, they're off and running. Only to return 1 minute later, pumped and proud.
That was so fast! I don't know if I'm going again. No, that was so awesome.
It's a scenario repeated throughout the day as riders are rocked, rattled, and rolled.
Rocket ship.
14 seconds of pure adrenaline there.
My whole body's just kind of in shock.
You just get this. We're going.
Everybody that rides this ride, bar none, basically get off and just say, wow.
Okay, so now Top Thrill holds the bragging rights for biggest, fastest, and tallest. Is Cedar Point done?
I think we can go higher. I think we can go faster, but we just have to get to that point technologically and from an engineering standpoint, and then see if people are willing to go that fast and go that high. And then we'll make the next big statement.
Now let's head to the Sunshine State. Orlando, Florida is getting even hotter as the theme park mecca of the East Coast.
Orlando, over the years, has just become the vacation destination for families because there's so much here. Everybody, we always have to one-up ourselves. Every time we build something, we have to build something better.
Universal Studios Florida is home to Men in Black: Alien Attack.
Since Universal is a movie studio and has been for 80-plus years, we get involved with the motion picture people looking to see how we can take their motion picture and turn it into a themed experience for our guests.
This skill thrill ride remains true to the techno style of the movie about an organization that fights intergalactic crime. Here, renegade aliens send you spinning for cover. You could call this a life-sized ride-through video game.
It was like being in the game because all the aliens, they look really real. And how they like popped out of like different spots and how the ride
one around.
It is an interactive attraction, unlike anything anywhere else. Depending on what you do in the attraction, different things happen during the ride, and you can affect the outcome of the ride.
Inside this massive 70,000 square foot building lies the secret headquarters for Men in Black, and you are there to fight the scum of the universe.
The first thing you see is you come by this scene, which is the aliens' coffee break room with our worm friends, and they're true to their characters in the movie.
I tell you, this is one groovy little planet Zed's got here. Sunshine, pretty women.
They're actually very advanced pieces of animation. They include both hydraulic and pneumatic actuators. It's basically a skeleton and figure that has a silicone skin that looks very lifelike.
Sometimes I think we should just go on strike.
Hey,
every day.
None of that talk.
127 aliens are concealed throughout the ride. They're fully armed, and the only thing between Earth and complete interstellar domination is you. Your mission is to graduate with honors while doing some major pest control. So what does it take to get that high score? Coming up, we'll give you some tips to blast your way into the MIB Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's working good.
And then, curious about a day in the life of a superhuman crime fighter? We're gonna fight the bad guys alongside this web-slinging hero.
This ride is the bomb.
There have been sightings of alien beings in Orlando, Florida, and they've been found right here at Universal Studios.
Hey, you rookies know what MIB stands for? More insect bait. Mentally impaired bug food.
If you want to duke it out with animatronic aliens, you'll get the chance inside Men in Black Alien Attack.
I was sitting there blasting away, having a great time, holding a gun in my hands, and felt just kind of like a Charlie's Angels out there shooting the bad guys. It's pretty wild.
Inside this life-size video game, you're a recruit, and the more aliens you zap, the higher your score.
I could have had a little more ammo, and I could have scored a little higher.
So let's find out some of the secrets to earning your stripes.
Hiding just about anywhere.
Based on the zapper's accuracy, each creature reacts differently, and a few of the critters require more than one hit.
I can give you a few hints, just a few. There are different targets in the attraction that are very valuable. If you listen carefully to the onboard audio system, it will give you instructions on what to do, and if you pay attention to those instructions very closely, you can get the biggest score of the entire attraction.
If you want that high score, you better be trigger happy.
The other trick is that you can pull the trigger once and shoot, or you can hold the trigger down and it'll act like a machine gun. That's the easier way to do it.
But there's nothing easy about this mission. Designers made sure that your experience is never the same.
I think a great theme park attraction is something that you can come back to multiple times and always see something different. There is just endless amount of things that you can see and look at and fire at when you're on the ride.
I just rode Men in Black the ride 4 times, and my favorite part was when the giant monster ate our car.
4 times? That's nothing. There are some MIB trainees who are back again and again.
There are people who are absolutely fanatical about this ride, and they come here every single week to try to best their score. As a matter of fact, I rode the ride yesterday, and I scored about 89,000, and I thought I did pretty good. And then I looked down and saw a 10-year-old kid in front of me had outscored me by about 100,000, and I know where everything is. So that's pretty amazing.
Just how much can one person fight slimy aliens? Chris Nulf is one of the die-hard Men in Black and proud of it.
I've been on Men in Black about 500 times, and I constantly try to get the highest score possible. I've gotten up to 999,999, which is the perfect score, and I usually get that about 9 out of 10 times when I ride.
But even a professional MIB agent can buckle. This time around, Chris was off his mark.
My score is a little below average today. That's okay, because you won't remember any of this.
Hey, don't try that memory eraser on us. We've got more secrets to learn. Right next door to Universal Studios, you'll find Islands of Adventure. 110 acres filled with effects-driven action rides. The wizards behind Men in Black: Alien Attack are part of the same team that ensnare you into some dark ride fun at this park.
I'm here to hang out with Spider-Man.
With Doc Ock on the loose, this could be the most dangerous night of my life. And yours.
The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man is a $100 million state-of-the-art scream machine. It's the first attraction to combine three-dimensional filmmaking with moving vehicles.
Spider-Man is so real. You spin, you go up, the whole time you're just holding your breath. It's really awesome.
In the thrill biz, this is called a dark ride, essentially because you're in the darkness. It's the roller coaster's indoor high-tech cousin.
Oh! That was really intense.
We're going to show you how designers came up with a slew of visual tricks to take you up, down, and all around.
Spider-Man is a motion-based ride, and the guests get on in the back alley of the Daily Bugle where Peter Parker works, and you're off to find the villains. They've captured the Statue of Liberty, so you're going to find the Statue of Liberty. And then you and Spider-Man go through the scenes together in various locations, and you're fighting with the bad guy.
This all happens on screen while you're inside the Scoop, a fiberglass vehicle you sit in with 11 others. The vehicle runs on an electric track and lands you smack in the middle of this life and death battle.
Well, it's good enough we have saved our friends.
13-year-old Katie Nalepa is a Spidey fan who can't resist a face-off with the comic strip villains.
Oh my God, I'm in New York, I'm in this battle.
When we asked Katie to share her favorite thrill ride with us, she kept her cool. Yeah, right.
This is what it's all about, people. Okay, basically we're inside the Daily Bugle building where we're about to go on the ride. Basically, a group of evil villains called the Sinister Syndicate have used Dr. Octopus's anti-gravity gun to take apart the Statue of Liberty, and they claim that they can, like, destroy anything. So they gotta be stopped. And
whatever you say, Katie.
We're in trouble.
After ducking fire, water, and megabolts of electricity, the designers have an even bigger surprise for you.
Your vehicle levitates and you feel yourself floating in the air. You're levitating up in the sky, then you're fighting villains in the sky, and eventually the bad guy shoots your vehicle and you start plummeting towards the earth hundreds of feet, and then Spider-Man throws his web and catches you at the end.
Guess that wraps things up.
We use a lot of the same tricks, a lot of the same staging techniques that magicians use in making people believe something's happening.
If hocus pocus and high-tech tricks are blurring the line between fantasy and reality, then we say, bring it on.
Say cheese.
In the amazing adventures of Spider-Man, each car moves in sync with computer-generated 3D images. A first in thrill ride history.
People were skeptical here that, we can make 3D work on a motion-based ride because, you're jostling around. I mean, how in the world can you look through 3D glasses and feel like it's realistic? And so we had to prove that out early on.
Three-dimensional images are formed by projecting two pictures, one for the left eye, one for the right, which, with the help of polarizing lenses, converge. If the overlap of these two images is perfect, then no matter where you're sitting, you'll feel that the image is jumping out at you.
Special night vision goggles allow you to see what's going on out there in the middle of New York, in the midst of this big Spidey superhero battle that's going on. Of course, these are really 3D glasses that allow the special images that are all throughout the attraction to come to life.
The biggest technical hurdle was keeping the 3D effects intact, since movement often distorts these images.
It had never been done before. People said it couldn't be done. So we actually figured out a way to project 3D imagery from a moving point of view, make all of the perspective errors and all the distortion that you experience when you're doing that go away. It was a big science project, and it took us a long time to do it.
the designers had to figure out new techniques that would allow the animation to adjust to your view as you spin and twist.
There were lots of things that couldn't be done, so we had to invent ways to do them. The kinds of technology that are brought to bear to make this attraction happen are really quite daunting.
And the greatest challenge for designers was developing a project ahead of its time.
Our attractions take between 2 to 4 years to bring to life. So we not only have to think about what's going to be technologically possible 2 to 4 to 5 years in the future, but we have to think about what's going to be cool and what's going to be fun.
One of the coolest parts of the ride is you actually have this free fall from hundreds of feet, and that's what you think you're doing. But in reality, what you're doing is you're really barely moving at all, but you feel like you truly are falling. We blow wind in your hair, so you feel like, oh, that feels realistic, right? I'm falling. I should feel wind in my hair. We really trick you.
Well, for me, that's the best ride I've ever experienced in my entire life. It's absolutely brilliant.
It gives you everything. This ride is the bomb.
Up next, get fired up as two dragons go head-to-head on intertwined coasters. And then we'll take you on an exploration with Tomb Raider Lara Croft. This ancient temple is gonna turn your world upside down.
Well, if you ride the Tomb Raider, it's definitely going to be a bad hair day for you. I'll tell you that much.
At Universal Orlando's Islands of Adventure, myths and legends merge into magic. But this is no ordinary fairy tale.
I'm ready to duel with the dragons and take on that coaster.
Dueling Dragons is a dual roller coaster that runs simultaneously on the quietest coaster tracks in the world.
The theme of Dueling Dragons are these two dragons that are soaring and fighting. They're having a conflict with one another. There's not a lot of noise associated with soaring, so we wanted a very quiet roller coaster.
The coolest thing about it is you feel like you're going to smash into each other.
This high-speed dance of death is split into fire and ice. Two coasters equipped with an arsenal of heart-pounding near misses race toward each other at speeds reaching 65 miles per hour. These fearless friends, Lauren, Chris, and Megan, have agreed to ride one of the Dueling Dragons.
Two different roller coasters, but at the same time, simultaneous.
As they strap in, Matt Dingleday and Renee Buck will ride the opposing dragon and give us a blow-by-blow of the ride.
As we head up the 120-foot lift, we're going to approach the 95-foot first drop and reach speeds at up to 55 miles per hour. We're about to go. All right. Woo! Yeah! And now we're heading into a swooping turn. This is going to prepare us for the first inversion. The 0-G roll. Yeah! And we're about to hit the castle in the Cobra roll. Whoa! Oh, yeah! And we're heading right towards the other dragon in the vertical loop. And the final interlocking corkscrew! Yeah! Wow, what a view of the ride from here. What a great ride on the Ice Dragon.
It was awesome. I'd say when they were coming towards each other, because you're going so fast, you felt like you're going to hit the other one. Yeah. And then right at the last minute, you go up on the loop.
Now let's leave the fantasy behind and delve into the reality of how this engineering marvel works.
The concept behind Dueling Dragons was to bring the guests as close as possible to cause near-miss moments. We do that through a computerized system on the lift. The vehicles actually meet each other in certain locations of the attraction, bringing the guests at least a foot away from each other from their feet.
On the lift mechanism, load cells weigh each of the two trains. They calculate the weight and speed so the two will meet at the exact time on the loop. With a combined track length of more than 6,000 feet, constructing this coaster proved to be a tall order. But an even loftier goal for ride engineers was creating the quietest coaster around. To do this, engineers put a plastic liner inside the main track beam. Then they filled the space between the liner and the beam with gravel, which absorbs sound and vibrations.
We put all of those technologies together and ended up with one of the quietest roller coasters in the country.
You don't really hear anything but people screaming.
Everybody in the coaster becomes a dragon as both of them fight basically to the death, or at least to the exit station where you can get off and enjoy the rest of your day at Islands of Adventure.
Or anywhere else you want to kick back and hang out. Let's leave the Sunshine State and dash to another must-see playground with extreme thrills. Just outside of Cincinnati lies Paramount's Kings Island, home to 365 acres of rides and attractions. But who would have thought that you'd find a mysterious ancient temple in Ohio? Get ready to experience the Far East in the Midwest.
Paramount's Kings Island really went out of their way to heavily theme this ride.
We came up with a one-of-a-kind thrill ride experience that we know as Tomb Raider the Ride that takes combinations of a great thrill ride aspect along with Hollywood special effects, puts those two together kind of like a peanut butter cup, and makes this one-of-a-kind fun ride adventure.
The ride is based on the blockbuster film which starred Angelina Jolie. But it was the wildly popular video games of Lara Croft Tomb Raider that originally spawned the movie.
The ride is very intense. It's not for somebody afraid of height.
So what can you expect from a ride that hurls you 70 feet into the air, gets you wet, and then hangs you upside down to dry?
Well, if you ride the Tomb Raider, it's definitely going to be a bad hair day for you. I'll tell you that much.
You're spun backwards, upside down about 5 times, and you fall towards the lava.
Our fearless Tomb Raiders, James Davenport and the Fields family, have agreed to lead us on our expedition. So, let the adventure begin. We're now in Southeast Asia, searching for a mysterious triangle capable of altering time. Inside, a sliding wall reveals an entrance entering a dimly lit antechamber. The expedition pushes further into the chamber until their fate is literally sealed. You're trapped inside a tomb, and the only possible vehicle of escape is, you guessed it, this ride. Our heroes James and Julie are now ready to, shall we say, take the fall for us.
I'm Lara Croft, the heroine, ready to find my treasure.
Pretty exciting. Oh, here we go. All right, we're being lifted up right now. Sparks going up. Oh, there. Oh. Okay, we're swinging. Saw the angry goddess Shiva. She's talking in Hindu now. If I had that many arms, I'd be angry. There she is. Right in front of us, right there.
Hang on, you're about to plunge 70 feet straight down. Tomb Raider is a multi-sensory gondola ride.
It's a giant A-frame structure with an axle through the center of it with the A-frame legs on either end, and that holds a 35-ton gondola, which then spins between the two A-frame structures, moving around the giant room up to 75 feet high.
I'm sorry, Julie, what did you say?
Okay, we're looking straight at stalactites, and they're dripping water onto our faces. Oh, run! Now we're upside down again. All right, now we're looking at it. What are we looking at? I don't know. Oh, there's lava. Oh, man. We're in a volcano.
It's bubbling. It's spraying water out. Oh my gosh. Woo!
You've escaped the razor-sharp stalactites and a pit of boiling red-hot lava.
Okay, I think we're okay.
We succeeded, yeah!
Unlike a roller coaster, it holds you there for a while.
where you just have that centrifugal force that would keep you against the wall. You actually like fall against the shoulder restraints.
A great amount of power is required to effortlessly spin 75 riders carried in the 35-ton gondola. So let's check out what powers this prize.
This is an area that a lot of people don't see here at Tomb Raider the Ride. This is the resistor bank room. Because the ride requires so much electricity to lift it up in the air that when it's coming back down, this is where all the energy is released. And it runs through these resistor banks and lets out a terrible screech, and it generates thousands of volts of electricity.
It's a charge that will leave you energized from head to toe.
It felt unbelievable because it felt like I was going to swallow my stomach.
I was completely surprised. I thought it was going to be a roller coaster. It was completely different. It's an experience. It's a lot of fun.
Coming up, an angry green giant roars. Strap in for a roller coaster rampage of monstrous proportions. Listen, you can hear it before you see it. A roar high above the crowds at Universal's Islands of Adventure. It's the biggest, baddest, meanest ride, and it turns the world on its head, over and over. It's based on a shirt-ripping Marvel comic superhero who's, how shall we put it, a little ticked off. This is the Incredible Hulk Coaster.
The Hulk roller coaster is a launching, sit-down, inverting roller coaster. Launching means there's a catapult launch system in lieu of a conventional chain lift. No more clack, 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 clack up to the top of the hill.
The clack-clack of a slow climb has been replaced with a high-speed, magnetically induced blast of power.
Huge releases of energy, lots of noise. We break through the ground in a couple locations.
And who has the nerves of steel to tame this behemoth? They're coaster extremists.
A roller coaster is what will bring us to an amusement park.
Nomads in search of the endless, perfect track.
We go all over the country riding roller coasters.
And nothing, not even fear, will stand in their way.
The first time I rode the Hulk, I was terrified. Now I'm actually glad to be afraid. It gives me a rush.
Let's hop aboard with Jerry Danes. This coaster buff says the Hulk is as close to Nirvana as it gets.
This is the best first 5 seconds of any coaster maybe ever built. It's a unique launch. And here we go! 110 feet in the air! Through the cobra roll! Into a vertical loop!
And 15 seconds. Now that's a ride.
My 1500 ride on my favorite coaster. And it's just as much fun as the very first time. Here's a tip for you. Actually, the back seat is the best ride. More airtime in the back.
This mad scientist experiment was started back in 1994. Hulk designers knew two things. They wanted it fast, and they wanted it loud.
Coasters have sounds. We know the grinding and the creaking and the groaning of a wooden coaster. Well, we specifically wanted to get a Hulk sound. We went and we found some specific wheel materials that as these wheels roll across the steel of the track, they create this, it's a roar, it's a roaring sound. And that sound sounds like what you would expect the Hulk to sound like.
By using 230 individual motors and wheels that grip a specially designed rail on the bottom of the train, the launch shoots the rider out of the tunnel like a cannonball.
The launch experience in the Hulk roller coaster is very similar to what a pilot would experience being launched off of an aircraft carrier deck.
And speaking of aircraft, designers use hefty airplane tires to shoot you sky high.
These tires are able to take the kinds of abuse that we're imparting on them, which is moving slowly and then all of a sudden, bam, going really, really fast.
With a launch every minute and a half, this monster needs an enormous amount of energy.
The city of Orlando isn't going to be too happy if we decide to brown out the entire city and turn off televisions all over the city every time we launch the coaster. So we decided that we needed to find a way to generate enough power on site to be able to accommodate that launch. The motor that takes power from the city of Orlando at a fixed rate turns it into mechanical energy in the form of a 10,000-pound flywheel. That flywheel spins at an incredibly high RPM. That mechanical energy is coupled to this electrical generator so that when it comes time to launch, we can let it all go really quickly.
With 7 rollovers and 2 below-ground plunges, all riders can do is feel the rage and let go.
All of that put together makes the Hulk roller coaster a unique experience for coaster enthusiasts. It typically rates among the top 2 or 3 roller coasters in the country.
When you've hit the top in coaster thrills, is there anywhere to go but down?
People keep thinking that we've hit the limit for what coasters and thrill rides can do. There was a time when people said, you'll never build anything above 200 feet. But in my opinion, and many other people, as rides continue to advance and technology gets better, literally the sky is the limit.
Coming up, you don't have to be a kid to take a walk through the wacky world of Dr. Seuss. Okay, so you've been swooped and looped, thrilled and chilled. But where do the little tykes go after you're done screaming your lungs out?
My favorite part about Seuss Landing is all of the designs.
Seuss Landing's awesome. I wish I knew the architect. I wish I could be here every day of my life.
We're taking you to a special place at Universal's Islands of Adventure, filled with twists and turns. But we're not talking roller coasters.
Seuss Landing is this great collection of attractions and rides and a children's interactive area.
The fantastical stories of Theodore Geisel, better known as Dr. Seuss, come to life in a wacky, whimsical, and wildly colorful world. It's where palm trees twist into loopy shapes, imaginary animals come to life, and if you get hungry, you can eat green eggs and ham. This 11 acres is actually the centerpiece of the entire theme park.
What people may not know is that we built the entire Islands of Adventure Park around those 2 characters, the Zacks.
The north-going and south-going Zacks met in their tracks, and neither would budge.
So in the book, they built a whole city around them. We, wanting to tell that story, did the same thing.
Make that cat go away. You do not want to play.
Here, your kids, and yes, you, can ride the Cat in the Hat, or take a spin, rather, with redfish and bluefish.
One fish, 2 fish is cool because you get sprayed by water.
When a child walks into Seuss Landing, they're really going to feel like this is their land because the words are easy to read in here, and the colors are wonderful, and the characters are actually very huggable.
Designers used more than 500 colors and every imaginable shape, but no straight lines in designing this unique world.
Well, we actually had to create a name for this architecture. We called it Seussian architecture and wonky.
Wonky is a Seussian term for wacky, zany, or kooky. Translation? You'll find only crooked and squiggly lines on the attractions around these parts.
If you look at his books, there were no straight lines. Everything is a wonderful composition of scribbles and slashes, and that's all here.
These blocks of foam right here turned into sculpted roofs like this big top tent right here.
Believe it or not, most of the architecture you see at Seuss Landing is constructed out of good old styrofoam.
We actually took big chunks of styrofoam, put them up on all the fronts of the buildings, and literally carved them with very dull knives. And we got the nice curves going through Seuss Landing.
Even the rides are Seussian. This one-of-a-kind merry-go-round, the Carousel, is full of squiggles and curves.
The rods that hold up the animals in a normal carousel would be straight, very easy to engineer. Our rods, you will see that they're all curved and shaped wonky as well. It's a very difficult task.
It's also the world's only interactive carousel.
When you ride the back of these fantastical creatures, you can operate them and make their ears wiggle and their eyes blink, and no one's ever done that before.
It's all about the kiddies in designing this loony landscape.
A lot of things that you see throughout Seuss Landing are built purposely at a lower level. You have little fences and you have little steps and you have little signs that are lower down.
Notice anything else unusual here? Even the palm trees are crooked. Developers searched high and low for the goofy greenery.
We had to find those wonky, strange shaped trees that you see in the books. We took all over Florida and all over actually the United States looking for interesting trees, but we actually came across a tree farm that had gone through Hurricane Andrew. And all the palm trees and all the trees had fallen over, and the trees had grown into these great, wonderful shapes.
The designers of the attraction were also inspired by the musical instruments of Dr. Seuss.
We took all the drawings of Dr. Seuss, and every time we could find a drawing of a musical instrument, we put it aside. Took all these musical instruments, they were all these mutated horns, and we said, what if we made these instruments? What if we go to garage sales, cut up old trombones, solder them onto end of oboes, and just create this entire palette of Seussian instruments?
It took designers 4 years to complete this labor of love. Their seal of approval came from Dr. Seuss's widow, Audrey.
Ted Geisel actually had never really wanted his characters to be put into an amusement park. He felt that nobody could really do his books justice.
But when Audrey was invited to see the fantasy come to life, she, like everyone else, was enchanted.
She said, you know, before I came here, I would have told you that this couldn't be done. But you proved that it can. And from that, the rest is history. The rest is what you see here.
I like the way how nothing was perfect. It was all crooked. I think it was spectacular.
So whether you have an appetite for dizzying drops or high-tech horseplay, designers are working hard to satisfy your hunger. Their secret formulas are what earned Eastern theme parks a spot on the map and a place in history with the fastest, largest, and most technologically advanced rides and attractions. Watch out, Southern California. You've got some stiff competition.
Tonight, high stakes, high risk, high action. Be there as fortunes are won and lost with a turn of a card. Go all in with World...